Hello, my name is Dennis Gentry. I want to give you a little bit of background of who I am. I have about 20 years of experience in educational leadership. I've been a vice principal. I've been a principal in four different school districts, one being EPIC Charter Schools. I've been a technology director at the K-20 Center. Um, I've been department chair at SWASU. I've been a behavior interventionist with Edmond Public Schools. I've trained about three vice principals who have very successful principal careers today. Um, so all those experiences have taught me some important skills. And one of the first skills that I would like to teach new EPIC principals that I feel is important is the skill of communication. Communication in the EPIC model is very different than any other setting. Most of our communication in EPIC is done virtually. That means using a webcam, a phone, um, text messaging, group chatting. All these are ways to communicate with our teachers, our parents, and our students. Because we're not housed in a brick and mortar building, we can't go down the hall and see if they're working or not, or if they're on task or not. So this can be challenging sometimes to communicate in the EPIC model. But what are some ways that we communicate in EPIC? Well, we communicate with data, first of all. We look at what the data is telling us. It's hard to argue with numbers. And we call this quantitative data, the data that is practical. It's like our grades, our benchmark scores, our average performance scores, our pacing scores that we look at weekly. This is quantitative data that gives us a picture of what the teacher's doing, what the student is doing as well. But then behind that, I think it's always important is to investigate the qualitative data that is not so obvious. And that's when teachers tell you during their monthly meetings that, hey, this child doesn't really have home support. They're doing the best they can on their own. Or this kid has not had electricity for a week and their computer wasn't able to charge, so they didn't get any work. So all this data, whether it's quantitative or qualitative, helps you to make decisions that are in the best interest of that child. So I would also help a principal to communicate. You're always communicating, even when you're not communicating, that's a communication. But I would rather have my principals communicate empowerment instead of compliance, giving teachers the autonomy to make decisions, especially when it comes to curriculum, what that individual student needs, because that's our whole model, that's our vision, that's our mission statement, is to make individual learning optimal for each kid that we have. And that is the EPIC way. So I would ask, are principals developing better teachers with their communication style? And that's the point of our communicating. You're developing teachers to become better. And like I said earlier, whether we're communicating or not, we're still communicating. And how we communicate in our emails, our word choice of words are very important. Successful EPIC principals will need to know how to communicate with clarity. Sometimes teachers just don't get what you want them to do, and you have to show them and repeat over and over again what you want them to do. So it's not just important to say, oh, here's the goal and here's what we're going to do. They need to understand it. I'm still, 3 months trying to teach teachers how to layer their instruction and not rely on core curriculum to teach all their standards. So this is what you'll learn when you start communicating with your teachers. Hey, they didn't get this part about layering or about uh, pivoting. What they're doing is not working with the child. You need to pivot and do something else. Okay, so these are things that need to be communicated with the teacher. Each principal will need to, in order to communicate, needs to be conscious of team building when they communicate with their teachers. Being able to see the strengths in others, being able to trust your team to do the right thing. And lastly, an EPIC principal should be aware of how to communicate with the 5 voices that are going to be on their team. We learned this through Giant training. I think it's an easy way to identify your people. Our teachers are to get the training next year, but identify what voice each teacher may be coming from. Second set of skills that I think is important for a new EPIC principle to develop is the skill of problem solving. I think effective EPIC principals should get close to problems. You know, the more distant a principal is from their teachers, the more disconnected they are from the problems, which helps them not be able to be good problem solvers. And this is not the EPIC way. I think the EPIC way is to get close to your teachers so that their problems become your problems. You become very connected to their problems. Solving problems is a good way for you to gain respect and earn leadership authority with your teachers. When you make their problems your problems, the teachers will view you as a team player and not just view you as a superior or one of position over them. In the EPIC model, I think as a principal, you may not have all the answers to solve the problems you're facing with your tribe, but you can't fear reaching out for others for help. It's important that you learn to know who to go to when you have a problem that you can't solve. EPIC is a very supportive and nurturing organization. It's a very problem-solving organization. There's always an answer somewhere in our organization to your problem. Probably none of your problems are new, but could be. But someone is out there to help you, and you need to not fear that you'll be looked upon or frowned upon if you seek help. And I would help new principals develop persistence with grit to find solutions to problems that their tribe is having. Good leaders just don't resolve problems just to get it off their plates and move on to the next one. I would want principals to be able to solve problems that help their tribe to be better or help our organization to be in a better position, not just to get it off their plate. And so this may require some shared problem-solving skills. You could ask yourself, who knows about this problem? And who knows what I need to know? Are good questions to ask. Our organization at EPIC is always changing, and there's lots of pieces of the puzzle to be put together before a problem is sometimes solved effectively. And sometimes I failed to solve the problem effectively with my tribe. But I've always been supported to do a better job by the upper management. So that creates a trust factor here at EPIC, which is very important. I think it's important for an EPIC principal to take responsibility for addressing problems. Just don't wait. Some teachers won't tell you the problems unless you ask. Look for them. They're out there. The teachers in my tribe are priority because I want to take care of them first. They are the closest responsible for student achievement. And so when I take care of their needs, they're going to take care of their students that they're responsible for. I make sure that I take their phone calls, answer their emails in a timely manner. I never want to make a teacher that feel that they're alone in this. Um, and I believe if you take care of your teachers and their problems, they will take care of their students that they are in charge with, and they will see the academic achievements increase when you take care of their needs. And then secondary to teachers are the EPIC family problems. I'm here to ensure that students don't have any problems that will interrupt their educational process. When solving problems, I think there are soft skills that would be helpful to develop. The soft skill of having a positive attitude when solving problems. Who wants to bring problems to someone that's looks frustrated or gets mad when they bring them a problem? No one wants to do that. So, have a positive attitude when you're dealing with problems or people that bring you problems. Have a good attitude about it. And then be practical in your solutions. Make sure you sought out the best advice. Just don't, offer some off the cuff solution just because you don't want to deal with it. Really put some thought into it so that, your tribe is in a better position after that problem is solved. And then have the soft skill of kindness. Kindness goes a long ways when you're solving problems, in my opinion. And be approachable. That soft skill of being approachable. Teachers or parents should not fear you when they come to share problems that they're having as a principal. So the third skill that I think a EPIC principal should have is the skill of personal growth. And I would ensure and encourage new principals to have that mindset of personal growth. I have grown as a leader and been challenged to grow as a leader while I've been here at EPIC. I appreciate the money. I appreciate the training, the people that have invested in me to be a better leader, to do my job. And how can we not be the best workplace in Oklahoma? Because we're constantly investing in our personnel over and over again. And not only does this training improve our professional lives, but it improves our personal lives as well. When we learn how to communicate better, when we learn how to solve problems, when we learn how to professionally and personally grow. This just helps us out in our personal life as well. The capacity to lead effective teams for future EPIC principals will be based on their willingness to grow as a leader. If you're not willing to grow, you're probably not going to make it here at EPIC. Growth is inevitable, and it's a constant factor here at EPIC. And so growth is a factor that will separate those who will succeed at EPIC from those who won't. And growth is the only thing that will guarantee that EPIC will be better in the future, is if we grow together. And just because we're getting older doesn't make us getting better. And just because we have another year of experience at EPIC doesn't make us better. We have to intentionally seek out personal growth. And sometimes it's in areas that we don't feel comfortable in growing in. And we need to ask ourselves some reflective questions, professional questions, such as, well, where do I need to grow? And then how do I measure that growth as a leader? And how do I act on what I've learned? We can learn lots of things, but until we act on it, it doesn't do us much good as a leader. Good leaders are good learners. So my job is not to find good leaders. I think my job as an MDI is to develop and invest in leaders that we empower them to do great things. And just as my MDI, Justin Hunt, has invested in me, I want to invest in others. I want to personally invest in others. I want to share with others what has been shared with me. I want to create that growth mindset for those who I will work with. It seems like at Epic, 80% of the resources have been focused on developing me to grow as a leader. I think that's great. And about 20% is focused on personal productivity. But I believe in the EPIC model, and I would count it a great privilege to train new principals in the EPIC way, just as others have trained me and invested their energy, time, and money growing me as a leader. Thank you for your time.